Continue with the movie Divergent. I wanted to go over the definition. Moving away from what is expected, two divergent paths are moving in opposite directions, moving away from one another or standard, one path or standard. And the Latin is dis, apart, and vergere, to turn. So to turn apart. In the movie, she takes the test, gets to three different factions, which because she's divergent. So she starts off. She has to go different path from like her family because she chooses to actually go with Dauntless because she's always sticking up for something because she's always doing something different. She's not the normal, neurotypical, so to speak. And then about 10 minutes in, she meets kind of like the president, and then she's already asking like, "You'll make the right choice. Just trust in the test." And then she's already shows you that she's like gonna stick up because she says, "You want me to choose? There's not really a choice." And she's like, "You'll make the right choice." And then the president, I can't remember her name, but she's like, "You're free to choose," like so to speak, like it's your choice, whatever faction you want. And it's just no trust in yourself, know thyself, choose wisely. She tells her, so it's like it's not really a choice, but she's telling her to choose. So she ends up choosing Dauntless, and then she ends up getting into it, and then they gotta take a test, and then there's like different tests before you can actually be accepted into the faction you want. And once she gets into it, she's just already because she's abnegation, so she's like not supposed to be dauntless. So she's starts out the battle pretty much. There's like 33 positions. If you're below the 22nd, you're eliminated. She's in the 32nd position, 33 also, by the way. And then she ends up slowly moving towards the top. And if you can't be into a category, you're factionless. So you're pretty much homeless, outcasted from society. And the reason they don't like the divergent because if you're a divergent, you can't be controlled. So they want you to fit perfectly in a box into one of the positions, one of the five factions, or out of society where you can't be controlled. Well, they can be controlled if you're factionless. They just don't have any resources and stuff. So she ends up getting a bird tattoo. It's like to symbolize as she's going through the ranks that she's a free bird. She gets three of them, and that's symbolized like she's dauntless now. And then the test, the first off is like they try to break your mind, body. They're the police, military type deal. So that's what they're doing in Dauntless faction. She starts moving up the ranks. She starts off as 32, goes down to 26, and then ends up her friend. Just like she sticks up for her friend, and then her friend ends up having to hang off a cliff, the hangman type deal. And it's like if you can't concede, never give up. She stands up for her friend instead, and then she ends up her other friend. The only people I know is Beatrice, who ends up changing her name once she ends up getting into Dauntless. So she's Beatrice, gets into Dauntless. She changes her name to Triss because now she's a new person, new creature. My bad about that. She's a new entity, so to speak. Like she cast off her old ways. Now she's in Dauntless, which is the military police type deal. And then there's another test. They're throwing knives, and he's scared. The dude throwing the knives is scared to pick up the knife because everybody's still throwing. He's like, okay, instead of picking it up, stand against the board, and we're gonna throw him at him. And Triss ends up taking his place, and then number four. Actually, I remember another name. Number four. There's that number four. They get thrown, and they throw him at him, at her, and then she ends up getting cut on the ear. So, and then she fights number one in the positions. She's ranked 22nd at the time. Ends up getting knocked out, and she's in the hospital. They're saying she's out. She says nope. She's gonna get in there. She does it. She ends up running after the train that's leaving to end up in the war. The war arc. There's a war games, and that's about an hour into the movie. And now she ends up passing that. She's ranked 20, so 22 and below, they're eliminated. She meets her mom and tells her mom's like sneaks in to the faction to tell her see her daughter and be like, okay, what did you really test? And she tells her mom she's divergent, and she's like, don't tell anyone. And then she's wondering how she knows, probably because her mom's, probably divergent. So they end up going to the second part of the test, which is the test of the mind. And then all the tests are like super, everyone, they take a long time to pass it. And it's like, it's fear based. It's like, it shows you what you're scared of and you're supposed to get through it. And with her, she sees differently. She divergent from normal seeing. So there's like crows, and then she's like running from the crows. And then instead of just, she sees little puddles, instead of like, she knows it's not real. She just goes into the puddle like it's a whole ocean, and she escapes the crows. And everyone's wondering like, okay, how does she do this? Because she knows it's an illusion. She sees through it. And that's like why they don't like divergence in the first place, because they see things differently from everyone else. Like if there's an easy path, hard path, they see the path that's not even on that. It's like the Matrix. And then she keeps on going through different tests, and there's a glass box, and the glass box getting filled with water, and she just accepts it and just starts tapping on the glass, and then it breaks. And then the main guy, number four, not main guy, but the leader of the faction, says no dauntless, breaks the glass like that. And she breaks it because she's not a dauntless, so to speak. She's all of them. She starts off with the 3 tests, but she's all of them, and then some. And then Peter, the guy that was number 1 that knocked her out earlier, tries to sow doubt because he's divergent. He's the opposite of her. He has to see, he's like, oh, there must be a trick to it. There's no trick. She's just always lived like that. So he's like, okay, at least if you're not going to tell me, tell your friend. So he's trying to sow doubt, which is pretty much the opposite of what she would do, because the divergent path is he's like this, she's like this, and he wants her to tell her the trick, but there is no trick. She's always doing that before they took the test, like real life's the actual test. So the next test or she gets is like all her friends are on the other side, and she broke through the glass. There's more to the movie, which will be in the third part, which I'll discuss after she runs away to try to find a way out, so to speak.